Shocking words aimed straight at Akınözü, and they came from the tiniest voice on the red carpet. A child star who worked with him on Sleepyhead blurted out a line that made everyone freeze. He hinted that Akın's ego could fill the room. And that wasn't all, he added that when he grows up, he wouldn't want to be like that. Welcome to Turkish series stars, friends. If you love bold stories wrapped in real emotions and a bit of glittering scandal, hit subscribe and stay close, because tonight we're taking you behind the velvet ropes where one offhand sentence turned into a national debate. All while Şahin stood by Akın's side with the kind of calm that only partners who know each other's hearts can carry onto a carpet. It all unfolded at the Ataturk Cultural Center, where the premiere of Sleepyhead transformed the lobby into a constellation of camera flashes. Akınözü arrived as both the movie's lead and its captain behind the camera, stepping back into the film spotlight with a confidence that felt like a new chapter opening. Glamour met gravity the second he joined hands with Ebru. The couple never made a show of their bond. They glided, exchanged a glance, and the crowd adjusted itself around their timing like tide to the moon. He in a sharply tailored black suit that communicated control without trying, she in a look that whispered elegance and strength. Reporters tried to pull them in every direction, but together they acted like a single point of focus. Then came the small quake that shook the evening. Sadie Dorakijit, the bright-eyed talent who portrays the younger version of Akın's character in the film, arrived with his parents, grinning at the lights as if they were part of a game he was winning. He charmed every mic that turned his way, until one question unlocked a quote that would spin everywhere in minutes. A reporter asked him what he had learned from Akın on set. Sadie, still smiling with that unbeatable 9-year-old candor, said, "He's really good-looking, but he acts like the world turns for him. When I grow up, I won't be like that." A hush, a gasp, and then 10,000 whispers. It was brief, but it landed with the kind of thud that echoes long after a red carpet clears. Within minutes, the clip sprinted across social media. On Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you looked, there it was, replayed, clipped, recaptioned. Some users fired off the classic line, "Even the kid sees it," while others teased, "Oh Akın, what did you do to earn that tiny dagger?" Several voices urged caution, reminding everyone that children say what they see without filters and that words like that, delivered with a giggle, might mean serious or focused, not arrogant. But that one word, ego, has a habit of attaching itself to actors who draw a spotlight like a magnet, and once it sticks, it rides the news cycle just as the lights begin to dim. If you've followed Akın's path, you've heard the whispers before, that he can be distant on set, that he zones out when he's working, that he doesn't banter in the breaks the way some do. People who know him say it more simply, he puts the work above the noise. But the noise doesn't care for nuance. After the screening, when microphones drifted back toward him with that tiny quote in tow, Akın smiled in a way that didn't look rehearsed. He said, "Sadie is a wonderful kid, and I'm proud of him." Then he moved on. No lecture, no shade. And if you were watching closely, you noticed Ebru's hand graze his arm in one of those gestures that speaks louder than words. She met a reporter's eye and said, softly, without drawing a headline, "Children tell the truth they understand, and that's part of their beauty." The message was subtle, there would be no fight here tonight. But the debate was already out of their hands. Sleepyhead isn't just another box ticked on a resume, it's the first time Akın stepped into the director's chair for a feature while also carrying the story on screen. The film traces an adult unraveling the knots tied in childhood, which makes every flashback scene feel like the hinge on which the door swings. That's where Sadie comes in, shouldering those short, concentrated moments that must convince the audience they're looking at a younger version of the same soul. Around the set, people said a bond formed between the two, Akın coaching with patience, Sadie watching like a sponge. That's why the remark felt so out of step to those who had seen them work, it clashed with the quiet care that took place away from cameras. Of course, when the tabloids smell a spark, they fan it. Rumors swirled that Akın hardly joked with the child actors, that he stayed locked into the scene's core and forced the set to meet his intensity. Was that ego? Or the kind of focus that's required when you're steering a ship and paddling at the same time? A production assistant later told a friend of our channel that in the breaks Akın preferred silence, that he'd tuck into a corner and line up his next choices, then step out and listen closely when any actor had a question. And there's more. After the premiere, they say Akın sent a small gift to Sadie along with a note telling him how proud he was of his work. The same night, Ebru reportedly chatted with Sadie's parents, making sure they felt the warmth beneath the spotlight's heat. None of this made a splash, kindness rarely does, but it existed alongside the headline everyone shared. Who is Sadie Dorakijit, anyway? He's 9, a face you've probably already seen in commercials and a handful of series shots, a kid whose timing feels natural instead of trained. Sleepyhead is the performance that brought him fully to the front row, and success has a way of stretching every word you speak. Some journalists shrugged and called his comment a harmless joke only a child can pull off. Others labeled it a bold leap into the grown-up game of talking back. Either way, a single sentence turned him into a lightning rod for a storm he probably didn't mean to summon. Plenty of famous names decided not to sit this one out. Demet Özdemir posted that sometimes children manage to say the cleanest version of a truth, without meaning to wound. Hazal Kaya chimed in with how much she loves working with kids, reminding everyone that small actors tend to pour out whatever they carry inside. And Bariz Ardak tossed a wordless reaction into the feed that people parsed like they were studying a map. No one went for the jugular, no one drew a line in the sand. It was chatter, not a verdict. Still, it kept the story alive long after the credits rolled. In the center of all this is a question as old as every red carpet: what's the line between ego and confidence? Akın has built a career that asks him to step into intense roles and bring audiences with him. A path like that demands steel and grace, and when you mix them, the Shine can look intimidating from the outside. If you caught him during rehearsals, you might see a man stripping away noise until only purpose remains. On a tabloid page, that shot becomes, he thinks he's above it all. Perhaps what Sadie saw was a serious big brother figure preparing the ground for him. None of that carries well into a trending headline, though. The simplest read will always win the race. Let's return to the premiere for a second, because the looks mattered that night. Akın's suit stayed in the lane of understatement, which made him stand out more sharply under the lights. Ebru's presence beside him shifted the energy of the carpet. She wasn't there to soak up attention, she was there to anchor him. Together they posed with their agent and the creative team, traded quick jokes off camera, and then the microphones formed a semicircle. The inevitable question about Sadie's line came, and Akın let a small smile do most of the work. That image, restraint over reaction, launched into the feeds, and critics later wrote about how his composure has deepened with time. Fame can turn a person brittle or flexible. That evening, he chose the latter. Backstage, there wasn't nearly as much drama. Those involved say the production team exchanged a few surprised looks when they first heard the quote, then shrugged it off and got back to the business of celebrating a premiere that had taken months of focus. Someone close to the post-production crew claimed that Akın called Sadie after the screening to tell him his performance lit up the story. Ebru is said to have posted a brief, warm note in her stories about the entire team, including the youngest member, without fanning any flames. If there were bruised feelings, they didn't show. More than anything, it felt like a teachable moment handled in a way that didn't squeeze the joy out of a child's big night. Zoom out to the career track. Akın's television adventure continues with Esref Rüya, and the people around him say he's more careful than ever about the kinds of projects he lets near him. Sleepyhead, his first feature as director, is the pivot. The place where he proved to himself that he could carry an entire vision while still protecting the work as an actor. Ironically, it's in the middle of such milestones that the smallest comments can cut the deepest or fly the farthest. Fame is fragile in that way. It's a glass tower that reflects everything, including the tiny clouds that pass over for a single afternoon. It might be the best part of this brouhaha that it made people smile more than it made them angry. There was humor in the way the quote spread, because it came with that wide-eyed innocence that says exactly what it sees. But the real story is in the answer. Akın didn't fight fire with fire. He let the attention roll off and redirected it to the work, to the young actor, to the film. And Ebru, with the quiet wisdom of someone who's had her share of long days under short headlines, reminded everyone that you can take the sting out of a moment by choosing tenderness instead of temper. In the end, both Akın and Sadie walked away with more fans than they had that morning, thanks to Sleepyhead and the way its premiere unfolded. So what do you think? Was that a glimpse of ego, or just the shadow cast by fierce focus and high standards? Did a child's playful honesty open a window into how stars are sometimes misunderstood, or did the media paint circles around a word that was never meant to carry so much weight? Drop your thoughts below, because this one strikes at the heart of how we read the people we watch on screens. Share the video, subscribe to Turkish series stars, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss what breaks next. We'll be back with more stories that don't just skim the surface, they touch the pulse. Until then, this is Turkish series stars, signing off from a premiere where one small voice echoed louder than anyone expected, and a couple stood steady together in the middle of all that sound.